You know, when you pick up a perfect tomato at the store, have you ever really thought about how it got that way? It's not just about sun and water, not by a long shot. There's this whole invisible universe at work, right under our feet, a secret world inside the soil that really dictates everything about the food we eat. So today, we're going to dive into that world and see how this ancient ingredient is completely changing the game for modern food. Okay, so take a look at these. These tomatoes were grown in a super high-tech greenhouse. I mean, they're the definition of picture perfect, right? They're all the same size, they have this vibrant red color, not a single spot on them. On the outside, you'd say, yep, that's the ideal tomato. But that leads to a really interesting question. Just because something looks flawless on the outside, does that mean it's as good as it could possibly be on the inside? Is there more to a great tomato than just what we can see? Well, to answer that, you have to look at where they come from. Now, modern greenhouse farming, it's amazing at producing a lot of food, but it can be really, really tough on the soil. I mean, think about it. Years and years of intensive farming, plus a heavy dose of fertilizers and pesticides, it can leave the soil totally depleted and just, well, tired. It's like it's running on empty. So, what do you do? How do you wake up tired soil? Well, it turns out scientists are looking way back into the past. They're rediscovering this ancient secret that might just be the key to the future of our food. And it's called biochar. The best way to think of it is like a super sponge for the soil. It's this special kind of charcoal that's just riddled with tiny holes, and that structure makes it the perfect luxury hotel for all the good microbes, and it's also like a pantry, holding onto water and nutrients. It's a really old idea, but now it's getting a serious look with modern science. And what it can potentially do is huge. Scientists think biochar can physically improve the soil, help it hang on to water and all those good nutrients instead of letting them just wash away. And it creates this perfect little neighborhood for all the microscopic helpers that plants need to grow. Oh, and as a little bonus, it locks up carbon in the soil for a really, really long time. Okay, but potential is one thing, proof is something else entirely. So, a team of researchers decided to put it to the test. They set up what I'm calling the Great Tomato Test to see what biochar could actually do in a real greenhouse. And the way they set this up is what makes it so cool. It was basically a three-way showdown. You had your first group, the control, which just got the standard fertilizer treatment. The second group got that same fertilizer plus a dose of biochar. And then, just to see what would happen, a third group got the fertilizer plus a different off-the-shelf soil amendment. So, they planted the tomatoes, they watched them grow, and they waited. And when the results finally came in, they were not at all what you'd think. This is where our story gets really interesting. Okay, so first things first. Remember those perfect-looking tomatoes? Well, it turns out adding biochar or that other stuff, it made zero difference to how they looked. The tomatoes from all three groups were completely identical. Same size, same color, same everything. The real story was hidden inside. So if you can't see the difference, what actually changed? This is what the scientists wanted to know. They ran a whole bunch of tests on the nutritional content of these tomatoes, and right away they found the first big surprise. And here it is, the first twist. They measured for lycopene, you know, that famous antioxidant that makes tomatoes red. And get this, the control group, the one with no special additives, actually had the most lycopene. The biochar tomatoes had the least. Kind of weird, right? But then, just when you think you've got it figured out, the story completely flips. They measured another powerful antioxidant called lutein. And here, the results were the exact opposite. The biochar group was the clear winner, hands down, producing tomatoes packed with the most lutein. So, what is going on here? Well, it's a nutritional trade-off. It seems like biochar dialed down the lycopene, which is sort of a general-purpose antioxidant, but it cranked up the lutein, which is an antioxidant that's especially good for protecting our eyesight. So it wasn't making the tomato better across the board, it was changing its specific nutritional strengths. And the changes weren't just in the tomatoes. The soil itself was transforming. In the plots with biochar and the other amendment, the amount of available phosphorus, which is like pure energy for plants, shot up by as much as 5%. So the biochar was clearly helping to unlock nutrients that were already in the soil. So this brings us to the good question, right? You add this one simple thing to the soil, and suddenly you've got these complex trade-offs in antioxidants and more nutrients available. What's the engine driving all these changes? What's really going on? The answer, as you can see here, wasn't the biochar itself. It was what the biochar did to the microscopic life in the soil. It was all about the soil microbiome, that huge, bustling community of bacteria and fungi living all around the plant's roots. And here is a fact that absolutely blew my mind. The researchers found almost 2,000 different core types of bacteria just living in the soil. But when they looked inside the actual tomato, only 127 of those made the journey from the soil up through the plant and into the fruit. The plant acts like a bouncer at a club, being incredibly picky about which microbes it lets in. And out of that very exclusive group that gets inside, it's really just a few key players that make up most of the community. In pretty much all the tomatoes, the microbiome was dominated by groups like cyanobacteria and proteobacteria. You could call it the core microbial team for a tomato. And this, right here, is the punchline. Adding biochar to the soil, it changed the guest list. It basically put a new manager at the club's door, and it shifted who got let in. It encouraged these other beneficial bacteria like Bacteriota and Actinobacteriota to thrive, and they, in turn, changed how the tomato grew and what nutrients it decided to store. What this all points to is a huge shift in how we think about farming. We're moving past just thinking about basic soil chemistry, we're entering an age of soil biology. The future of our food isn't just about basic fertilizer, it's about cultivating the right microscopic team of fungi and bacteria. So let's just recap the big takeaways here. First, soil health is way more complex than we thought. There's no single magic bullet. Second, messing with the soil can create some really unexpected nutritional trade-offs in our food. And third, and this is the most important one, that invisible world of microbes in the soil has a direct, powerful say in the quality of the food we eat. And we now know we can actually influence that world. As the researchers themselves put it, this is a really promising start. We are just scratching the surface of how to use tools like biochar, not just to grow more food, but to grow better food. And that leaves us with this incredible final thought to chew on. If we can really learn to be like shepherds for the soil microbiome, if we can curate which microbes live in our soil, could we one day design our food? Could we grow tomatoes that are custom built with extra lutein for eye health, or other foods with other specific benefits? The secret life of soil is just starting to open up, and honestly, the possibilities are amazing.